Thanks for tuning in. As always, we are live from Crystal Recorder Studio in beautiful Lombard, Illinois. Happy to be with you on this wonderful Sunday evening. I had kind of a fucked up week, but I'm going to try to hold this together the best I can. So, if you want to get in touch with us during the show, as always, Sunday Evening Overdose on Facebook, The Sunday Evening Overdose, or sundayeveningoverdose@gmail.com. Send us your thoughts, whatever, and call in 708-244-8142. So, to get started, I went to a real piece of shit festival this weekend called the Pitchfork Fest. I checked out a bunch of the bands. I didn't really know who anyone was. I went to see Beck, checked out a bunch of the bands, and didn't like anything. I would just like to talk about the fact that people at concerts have gotten out of control. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but everywhere I go, the entire crowd talks through the entire fucking set. I mean, and it's no exception for big famous artists like Beck. I'm in the crowd trying to enjoy myself, trying to zone out and actually get into this thing. And, literally there's groups of people turned inwards and like gabbing through the entire fucking thing. Here you've got a guy who is one of the most respected songwriters of all time. He puts together a really great, well-thought-out show, has, 25 fucking crew guys just came out and set up a giant stage with visual effects and state-of-the-art technology and speakers. It really did sound really good. And, all this effort went into it. He handpicked some of the greatest musicians from around the world, and they're going to come out here and do a wonderful performance and execute it perfectly. Could you shut the fuck up about your stupid fucking friends and your fucking job for fucking an hour and appreciate something, you piece of shit morons? And it's fucking everywhere. Every fucking show you go to. Local shows, big shows, whatever. People have just lost their fucking attention span. Absolutely cannot, even shit they really enjoy, cannot pay attention to it. So that's what I did this weekend. Stupid fucking cunts behind me wouldn't shut the fuck up the entire show. But Beck was brilliant, as always. So we got that. I didn't get a guest this week because I was pretty much trying to catch up on the Ukraine situation and try to understand what's going on there. So I guess to get started, we're going to try to get into that a little bit. So if you want to call in again, 708-244-8142. I welcome some callers on this subject because, it's kind of a new area for me and a lot of other people, I guess. I don't know a lot about this part of the world. But I guess we'll start with, if you haven't heard, there was another Malaysia Airlines airplane that went down. This time it didn't disappear. It actually fell out of the sky. There's video. There's pictures. The mainstream media generally has blamed the pro-Russian rebels in Ukraine who are, against joining the EU and have done a lot of violent attacks recently against other aircraft in the area. So it seems like, the obvious person to blame. Just in case you're unfamiliar with the whole situation, this has been going on since 2004. There was an election that, it spurred something called the Orange Revolution, which a lot of people in Ukraine thought that the election was rigged, and this fella Yanukovych, they're both named Victor. One's Yanukovych and one's Yushchenko. So Yanukovych won, but Yushchenko's backers and supporters revolted and through a huge protest and actually forced a revote in which the original results were overturned. So then he was president until 2010 when Yanukovych actually took power again, and I guess the results of the election were upheld at that time. Then In 2014, he, of course, was ousted and I guess ran to Russia, and that was a lot more violence involved in that. So there we go. There's that going on. There's the whole Crimea thing, which a lot of Russians feel like should belong to Russia still, and I guess a lot of the residents of Crimea feel that way. So there's all this kind of turmoil going on, and it's way more complicated than they're making it seem in the media, of course. I guess, you know, like most things, they try to portray it as a East versus West, pro-Russians versus, people that want to join the EU. And, there's a lot of other things tied into it, human rights violations and a lot of things like that. And it's kind of like here where we've got some growing, two growing factions, and I guess like the Truth movement and maybe the Occupy movement or something, So it's, it's mixed up. It's weird. It's all kinds of shit. But anyways, it's these pro-Russian sympathizers that are immediately being blamed. Although Putin himself, I guess, has condemned the attack, and no one has really had any concrete evidence. But, there's pretty much widespread blame in the U.S. media, which is not surprising. Russia is, someone they'd probably like to demonize. Holy fuck. I just dropped my phone. Sorry, guys. So we have had some media reporting that there's evidence of Ukraine anti-aircraft missile system dispatched to Donetsk Wednesday. This is from itartass.com. I guess this is a Russian news outlet. The aircraft at an altitude of over 10,000 meters could be shot down only with the weapons of the S-300 or BUK missile systems. I guess the pro-Russians have shot down a bunch of other stuff, but at lower altitudes than this and with shoulder-fired weapons. So they're saying that the Ukraine's armed forces dispatched the BUK anti-aircraft missile system battalion to the area of Donetsk on Wednesday. A well-informed source said, referring to the data recording system. Another battalion of the same weapons is said to be in the process of embarkation in the city of Kharkiv. Fuck. This is going to be, anything going on in Eastern Europe, it's going to be really bad with pronunciations. Northwest of Donetsk, the source said, adding that the aircraft at an altitude of over 10,000 meters could be shot down only with the weapons of I'm just reading the same shit. Anyways, that's Itar Tass saying they've got a reliable source that there was one of these, and they're blaming it on Ukraine's military. So that's the Russian news. Of course, our news says the opposite. So I guess if we're going to try to figure it out, we're going to have to think about who would have motives. The internet is right now completely confusing, and there's articles going in every single direction you could possibly think of, and theories of all kinds, including UFOs shot the plane down. That a lot of people say the U.S. could be involved to try to stimulate, some support from the public to take action against Russia, and on, whatever. There's all kinds of things. One of the things, some top AIDS officials, I guess, AIDS researchers were on the plane, and it was originally reported that there were 100 of them on the plane. Of course, that wasn't true. Looks like it was 6, but they were top researchers in the field of, in AIDS research. UNAIDS executive director Michael Sidibe had tweeted that many delegates to the 20th International AIDS Conference were on board, reinforcing fears of a high fatality rate. So a lot of people proposing that, given the history of AIDS and a lot of the suspicion that it was a synthesized virus and, released in certain areas by the government, there's always speculation when shit like this happens that they could have been onto something and that they could have been the target. But there's all kinds. Again, pro-Russians are being blamed in a couple of different ways. A lot of people are assuming they may have made a mistake because of lack of training and didn't really know how to use their equipment and don't have much radar capability and on and on. And they have also confirmed shot down a bunch of aircraft in the area. I'm not going to go over each one, but they have done it recently. Ukrainians are suspected by others to have mistaken it for Putin's plane. And that was, I think that was spawned by an RT report that Putin's plane had similar markings and had flown through the area recently. So again, this is all up in the air right now. But one thing is for sure, the U.S. is steadily building its case against the rebels, the pro-Russian rebels. And for me, it's funny when something happens and our mainstream media starts acting like they're doing real journalism, and you start to see cohesive timelines and effective reporting. It makes me suspicious because they ordinarily wouldn't do anything of that sort unless they had a clear agenda to push. And we've seen it time and time again. This is from the Washington Post. The Obama administration expanded its case Sunday, accusing Ukrainian separatists and Russian forces of working hand-in-hand to acquire and operate a missile battery believed to have shot down a Malaysia Airlines jetliner last week, killing nearly 300 people. And I should mention... the plane was mostly Dutch people, and it actually was so many Dutch people that it represented a higher percentage of the Dutch population than we lost as a percentage of our population in the 9/11 attacks. So a lot of people have wanted, try to put that in perspective and, paint the picture that this is most of the targets on the plane were Dutch. The fuck does that mean? I don't know. Citing an enormous amount of evidence, Secretary John Kerry accused Russia of providing SA-11 anti-aircraft missiles to the pro-Russian rebels and training them on how to fire the advanced weapons. All right, now here's where it gets good. He also said U.S. intelligence agencies, quote, saw the launch of a missile from a rebel-held territory in eastern Ukraine and recorded its trajectory at the moment the passenger plane vanished from radar. So, if you need any evidence and you know anything about U.S. intelligence agencies, if you need any evidence that they could have been involved in this, they say they saw the launch. I don't know. To me, that's the fact that they were in the area and can confirm that it happened so easily. Yeah, it's probably because they had some prior knowledge of it or, were somehow involved. And, the main reason I started a radio show was to make wild allegations. So that's what we're going to do. Meanwhile, in Kiev, the U.S. Embassy and American intelligence analysts had confirmed the authenticity of recorded conversations in which rebel leaders bragged about shooting down what they thought was a Ukrainian military transport plane moments after the Malaysian jetliner was blown apart. The Ukrainian government had previously aired the audio excerpts, but the U.S. statement vouching for their reliability buttressed the charges against the rebels. So, there we go. You can't you can't trust any of this shit. Anything involved in U.S. intelligence agencies, what the fuck are we doing? But I'm going to run a video really quick from RT, kind of talking about, this should kind of outline how the American media has, even before they had collected any evidence whatsoever, was immediately blaming the pro-Russian rebels. And it could be true, but when they're this quick on the draw and they're this effective with their reporting.
International investigators haven't even arrived at the crash site yet, but the Ukrainian authorities and certainly some Western media outlets have been very quick to blame anti-Kiev fighters. Our correspondent Marina Portnaya now taking us through some of the rather wild speculation out there.
A shocking tragedy claiming the lives of nearly 300 victims. Before an investigation even begins, the lack of credible facts hasn't prevented many in the West from jumping to conclusions. According to the Sun newspaper, the Russian president is personally responsible for downing the Malaysia Airlines plane in Ukraine, an accusation some U.S. officials are doing their best to fuel.
If it is a result of either separatist or Russian actions mistakenly believing that this was a Ukrainian warplane, I think there's going to be hell to pay, and there should be.
There does seem to be some growing awareness that it probably had to be Russian insurgents. Now, how we determine that will require some forensics, but then if there is evidence pointing in that direction, the equipment had to have come from Russia.
Either the missile it's a missile that came from Russia, or it was from the separatists, and it's a Buk-style missile. I mean, this came from Russia. Russia has their fingerprints all over it either way.
Why stop at fingers? According to the Daily Mail, Russia's hands are soaked in blood. Some journalists conveniently camouflage their blame with a question mark. Headline after headline asking if Russia is to blame. Very few bothering to inquire about Ukraine's possible role in the plane crash. The New York Times, on the other hand, reported Ukraine's accusations, leaving no room in this article for Russia's position. The U.S., NATO, and Russia have all called for an investigation.
All right. So that should give you an idea. And if you listen to our leaders, you'll notice, a certain righteous indignation. And, the people that are high in government like to really play the role of having some kind of moral authority and this and that. But that'll come up in a minute. So I just want you to remember that in the meantime. And then we also had another article here from the WND executive, WND.com. Largely unreported sections of an executive order signed last week by President Obama grant the U.S. government the right to seize the property of American citizens determined to be undermining, even indirectly, the democratic processes or threatening the peace in Ukraine. So this is we got a caller, actually. Let me take this, and you're on the Sunday Evening Overdose. Please hold for just 1 second. Thank you. This is another executive order of which Obama has signed a staggeringly high, just a ridiculous amount of, I don't know what the number's up to, but I think it was more than many or all other presidents combined, if I remember right. It cites the National Emergencies Act, which subjects to revocation the constitutional right to habeas corpus, the requirement to bring an arrested individual before a judge or court. So this is another thing kind of in line with the Patriot Act that just sidesteps a lot of our really important constitutional protections under the guise of, protecting somebody against, terrorism or whatever the fuck they're trying to make up at this point. All right, you're on the Sunday Evening Overdose. What's going on?
Well, I just found it kind of curious that in that coverage that you played, the sound bites,
yeah,
there was no mention of any U.S. involvement, which, I think when you're looking at global issues, you can never discount that. And I kind of think it's like a classic false flag that the CIA may have found a chink in the armor of Malaysian Airlines, which precipitated the earlier incident with them. And, they found a way that they could do this without being detected. And I kind of feel like there's a misdirection play. You pointed out that there was good actual investigative journalism going on.
Well, not necessarily, just it seemed like effective and quick,
Right. And I agree with you, and that is unusual.
Well, except when there's a clear agenda. Otherwise, they're way too afraid of having to backtrack to really commit to anything.
Well, absolutely, and they can find ways of further misdirection by doing that. I'm sure that you're aware of the several links between the CIA and the news reporting agencies, CNN. I mean, Anderson Cooper, if he's not a made CIA guy, I don't know what is.
And I think he actually on record interned with them or something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, there was a connection there. But I think the roots go deeper with also with MSNBC and Fox. I think they all have their allegiances to the one area in government, because it's a bureaucracy. They don't have any checks and balances other than the FISA court, which is kind of they're in the pocket of the FISA court. Since that's their only responsibility is the intelligence community, they kind of get a rubber stamp for everything.
Right, and that's and probably I haven't looked into it, but I would guess that there's a lot of conflicting interests involved with whoever oversees the CIA, and that's the way that they operate. But this also, it's not such a kooky thing, and it doesn't have to be so speculative. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. There have been false flags that come out 40 years later that the CIA is involved in. The Gulf of Tonkin was one, I think. And going all the way back to like the Lusitania and the Zimmerman telegram and shit. We've seen it, over and over. Prior knowledge about Pearl Harbor, 9/11, everything.
That predates the CIA. I mean, that was still OAS at that point,
or OSS, I think.
OSS. I'm sorry. It was English was OAS, I believe. But
no, but I'm just talking about the likelihood
the intelligence community has basically no accountability. They're running around. They're funding themselves through the sale of drugs and arms surreptitiously to countries that we're not even supposed to be dealing with.
And that's been proven, yeah.
And there's a long, rich history of that. How does a guy like Oliver North become a contributor to Fox News? Here's a guy that orchestrated, in conjunction with the Bush family, he orchestrated a whole bunch of stuff that was totally illegal. I mean, we were not at war, but we were at serious odds with Iran.
Sure.
At that time.
And I'm gonna bring up Iran actually in regards to this plane crash in a second too, because I don't want to actually. You know what? I don't want to reveal it yet, but it has to do with the moral outrage of our government officials. Who are killing people all over the place. It's not, these people don't give a fuck. They don't care about 298 people on a plane. It's ridiculous. This is all part of a prearranged agenda, clearly. I mean, if you think they care about human life and sacrifice, you're completely fucking stupid at this point, The
European Union is an integral part of the New World Order.
Right. Yeah.
This was a well-chosen battlefield, I think. This is just my opinion, and I'm a crackpot. But this is a well-chosen battlefield for the U.S. intelligence people to get us involved in furthering an agenda that includes the European Union.
Right. No, it's been said for years that that Russia, Putin and Russian culture in general, a lot like American culture, wouldn't play ball with a one world government. But now that we've kind of fallen to it already.
Putin, for all his, you can call him what you will, but the guy is very
jerk.
True to his company. Very true to his country. He sees Moscow as a separatist entity that can dominate Eastern Europe. And so far, he's been right. And I don't, I don't see him as the boogeyman that everybody else does. I don't agree with the guy on most things.
Yeah, but you also, it's the issue of, are we the world's police? Do we have any, with our track record of human rights violations, do we have any fucking right whatsoever to police anyone else? No, we obviously don't. But there's also the military-industrial complex that that term gets bandied around a lot, and it almost means nothing to most Americans anymore because they've heard it so much. But there's a very strong alignment between our economy and how the military-industrial complex performs. And when the intelligence community can thrust us into a situation where we're operating using portions or all of the military-industrial complex, it's in the best interest, in their estimation, to promote that. And, I think this is just classic false flag stuff. It's pretty plain. If you look through the history of how they've operated in the past, what we know of. I only go back as far as following what went on in Chile and, Salvador Allende and the assassinations that happened in Central America, and then our throwing under the bus of Noriega. I followed that pretty closely. But it's all a very confusing thing. It's James Bond. Yeah, I understand. It's very likely that any major event like this had something to do with these.
There's a hand in there.
Yeah.
If nothing else, there's an encouragement.
And especially when it's so convenient to our to the agendas within our politics right now. But you know what? I got to move on.
Yep.
Good points.
All right. First time caller, long time listener.
All right. Thanks very much for the call. 708-244-8142 if you want to call in on this or any other topic. A lot of our fans just call in about whatever the fuck they feel like right in the middle of an interview or whatever. That's the show that we do. I'm going to move on here before I kind of bring this all home for you. On TheVerge.com, I spotted this article by Josh Lowenzo, a Twitter bot that keeps watch on Wikipedia pages edited by those inside the Russian government, spotted major changes to an entry about yesterday's crash of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. So the plane, before the edit, the entry read, "The plane was shot down by terrorists of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic with Buk system missiles, which the terrorists received from the Russian Federation." So again, there you go. It's immediate, without proof, immediate blaming. And after the edit, I guess Russia edited it to say the plane was shot down by Ukrainian soldiers. So there you go. Big creepy governments playing around on Twitter, fucking with each other. That's pretty cool. I guess this Twitter bot was launched just this past weekend and sends out a tweet when it detects Wikipedia edits made by people using Russian government IP addresses. So that's how that works. Another article from CNN.com claims that at least 4 crew members escaped the plane, which I haven't really heard reported very much, but we're still in the initial fog of this whole thing. 4 crew members escaped and 2 others were taken hostage from the crash of a Ukrainian transport plane hit by a rocket over Luhansk region near the Russian border. A Ukrainian Defense Ministry spokesman, Vladislav Seleznyov, said Tuesday, all 8 on board the plane down Monday were Ukrainians, Seleznyov said. In addition, 2 others remain missing, he said. It's unclear who is responsible for taking hostages. The 4 who escaped are in a safe location, he says. What a fucked up country. The video posted to YouTube appears to show people watching as at least one person parachutes and a huge plume of dark smoke rises from the ground. What? Ukrainian forces in control of Slavyansk strikes resume as the ceasefire ended, and I guess there's a video. I don't know if somebody could find that for me. Supposedly there's a video of somebody parachuting from the plane. I do not have that, though. The Ukrainian military has been battling pro-Russian separatists in the same area. So, all right. But I guess that might have been a different plane. See, a lot of this is getting confused in the whirlwind of this initial reports, all this bullshit. Another report was kind of strange. This from the AP, Associated Press in Moscow. A top pro-Russian rebel commander in eastern Ukraine has given a bizarre version of events surrounding the Malaysian jetliner crash, suggesting many of the victims may have died days before the plane took off. The pro-rebel website, Ruskaya Vesna, on Friday quoted Igor Gherkin as saying he was told by people at the crash site that a significant number of the bodies weren't fresh, adding that he was told that they were drained of blood and reeked of decomposition. And this is Associated Press. It's not Dallas Goldbug, whatever. The Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777 was shot down Thursday, killing everyone aboard. We all know this. U.S. intelligence authorities said a surface-to-air missile once again brought down the plane. So, anyways, he's saying that, and this is a top pro-Russian rebel, and he's inside of Ukraine, and I guess talked to the AP and told them that the plane was full of people that were already dead, that they were well decomposed by the time they got to the ground. So, if the Russian rebels are responsible for this, they could just be trying to do some creative diversion. But if they're not responsible and this is some kind of strange black ops event, then there you go. That could be a small piece of the puzzle. Another story adding to the kind of mystique and people's kind of suspicion about there maybe having been some prior knowledge to this. I guess there's a guy that was scheduled to be on both this plane and Malaysia Flight 370, which of course is the one that disappeared a few months back. Martin De Jong was supposed to fly on both flight MH370, which is yet to be found, and MH17. The cyclist was going into Taiwan for the other one and was returning from the Netherlands this time, but both times changed his flight. The first time to avoid having a stopover, and this time just says for a later one this weekend. So a lot of people wondering who the hell that guy is. But there you go. We'll find out more this week, I'm sure. The Guardian today reports that MH17 victims were put on a refrigerated train bound for an unknown destination. Apparently, international monitors arrived to inspect wagons accompanied by a convoy of heavily armed and nervous rebels. The bodies of the victims of the flight Malaysia Airlines 17 are being loaded onto 3 railway carriages, apparently with refrigerator capability, and they're standing at the train station in a town called Torres, several miles from the crash site. So the Guardian reporters are saying they witnessed the arrival of a delegation from the international monitoring body of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Who knew that was a thing? Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE. And they got there at around midday local time to inspect the wagons, accompanied by all these rebels. So apparently, as they opened the door to one of the carriages to inspect the interior, a stench of death wafted out. So here's another report that these bodies are decomposing and quite in bad shape. The special monitoring mission of the third day dealing with the incident has now monitored the location where bodies are being refrigerated in 3 wagons, said Alexander Hug, the deputy chief of mission. All right. So they're claiming they haven't been able to count the bodies. They're saying, again, the stench is overwhelming and very, very bad. I find it strange that keeps coming up again and again. We've been through a lot of reports of these big deaths, and you don't really hear that mentioned. All right. also emerged on Sunday that the UN Security Council was considering a draft resolution to condemn the shooting down of a Malaysian passenger plane in Ukraine, demand that armed groups grant access to the crash site, and call on states in the region to cooperate. So if you look at it from the Russian rebels' perspective, now, assuming they didn't do this, which I don't know if I'm really assuming that, but for the sake of argument, if they're not responsible, now they've secured this area, and I could understand why they're reluctant to let a lot of people in, and, how do they know who people are going to be and what kind of tricks they could fall for and whatever, This could be a little more complicated. We're going to have to see how it unfolds. But let me see where we're going from here. John Kerry came out and, did a nice little tough speech on CNN about this and talked about Putin and the outrage and the blah, blah, blah. Let's play this John Kerry clip, if we could.
Today we have reports of drunken separatists piling the remains of people into trucks in an unceremonious fashion, actually removing them from the location. They are interfering with the evidence in the location. They have removed, we understand, some airplane parts. It is critical. This is a very, very critical moment for Russia to step up publicly and join in the effort in order to make sure there is a full-fledged investigation, that the investigators and people who are coming to help from outside, the ICAO, the FBI, the National Transportation Safety Board, we're sending people over, others are sending people, experts who have an ability to be able to put these facts together so no one will have doubt, no fingers will be pointed about conspiracies, about ideology and politics governing this. We want the facts. And the fact that the separatists are controlling this in a way that is preventing people from getting there, even as the site is tampered with, makes its own statement about culpability and responsibility.
All right, John Kerry, fucking weirdo. Somebody just sent a message into the show that says we're interrupted by commercials. That is going to happen. This is a free streaming site, and the way they support themselves is to run some short advertisements once in a while. So I'm sorry about that. I have no control over when it happens, and I don't know either. Hopefully at some point we will get some funding for this show, and that won't be a problem, and we'll run our own short commercials or whatever. But as of right now, when that happens, just fucking sit there and wait, and I'll be back. So there you go, John Kerry, just one of a string of U.S. officials to come out and, puff up their chests and act real outraged about this. But I keep mentioning that because at one time the U.S. actually shot down an Iranian airliner, Iran Air Flight 655, which is something that's kind of been forgotten in the United States media, except for, I think the only really major news that wrote about it was the Washington Post. And the number 655, Iran Air 655, began in the U.S.-Iran struggle with the 1979 Islamic Revolution, which we can't get into that story. That'll take too long. But toward the end of the war, on July 3rd, 1988, a U.S. Navy ship called the Vincennes was exchanging fire with small Iranian ships in the Persian Gulf. The U.S. Navy kept ships there and still does to protect oil trade routes. As the American and Iranian ships skirmished, Iran Air Flight 655 took off from nearby Bandar Abbas International Airport, bound for Dubai. The airport was used both by civilian and military aircraft, and the Vincennes mistook, apparently, the lumbering Airbus A300 civilian airliner for a much smaller and faster F-14 fighter jet. Yeah, right. All right, so the U.S. shot down a plane, an Iranian plane back in 1988. I mean, just to give you an idea, of how short people's memories are on this thing and how comfortable they can be coming out and just condemning anyone that would ever do anything like this. A lot of these people were high in government already at that time. Under conditions where, let's see, I started to jump into something without knowing what I was doing. There's another guy, Niles Williamson, wrote an article on this. 40 minutes prior to the downing of Flight 655, let's see, we got a caller coming in. Caller, shut up for a second. Shh. I'm gonna put you on hold. Hang on. 40 minutes prior to the downing of Flight 655, one of the helicopters based on the Vincennes while on a surveillance mission purportedly took fire from Iranian gunboats in Iranian territorial waters. The Vincennes proceeded to pursue the gunboats into Iranian territorial waters. The U.S. government claimed that the crew detected a plane that was transmitting signals which identified it as a military aircraft and that it was rapidly descending towards their ship. These signals resulted in the crew mistaking the Airbus for a much smaller F-14 Tomcat, one of a handful of warplanes still remaining in Iran's arsenal from the days of the blood-soaked U.S.-backed regime of the Shah. So it sent out several warnings on military channels, and of course, since it was a civilian plane, they did not respond, and they were blown to fucking shit, and everybody got killed. So Reagan, in a statement released shortly after the attack, called the shooting down of Flight 65 a proper defensive action. So that's what happens when we do the same fucking shit. A proper defensive action. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff justified the downing of the passenger plane. I mean, I guess this is all relying on you believing, what they say about, about them mistaking the plane, whether or not you believe they did it on purpose. I don't know, man. Nothing would surprise me at this point. But there you go. The U.S. shot down a fucking Iranian airliner full of civilians. I think it said like 60, 70 children. And they would probably like to keep that covered up. I just grabbed this other article. Oh, you know what? We do have a caller on the line. Let me go to him. Caller, you're on the Sunday Evening Overdose. What do you got?
Put me on hold. I hate this radio show.
Sometimes
I don't got a lot of time, but I like to say something.
Okay.
Huh? Was that a no-fly zone? Like, nobody was allowed to fly through there, right? Except that one plane, right?
No, that's not true. It's really, in situations like this, is left up to the airlines themselves, and there was a handful of airlines that opted to take a longer route, and there was also a handful of airlines that decided to keep flying through that airspace to save money. It wasn't like just one,
Okay. Another thing, isn't this all about just to keep talking about an airplane instead of EU's gas pipeline? Isn't that what this is all about in the first place?
Well, why don't you tell us about that?
80% of EU gets energy comes from Russian natural gas. I think I even read something in the Mail and .com that they cut the pipe, the feed by 60% to the EU, and they're pissed. And it's all about controlling the gas line, because if they go to war with Russia, and they is the Anglo-American New World Order, Europe, America, and all these guys, then they'll just shut the gas off, and then they won't be able to make weapons to hurt Russia. Stuff like that.
No, I haven't looked into that, but it sounds plausible.
Oh, that's what this whole thing was about. We've been trying to go over there and start trash since what's that one big city over there?
Kiev.
We sent agents to just shoot people with snipers and stuff. Came out.
You're talking about in 2010.
Yeah,
when they ousted their president. That was the pro-Ukrainian forces in Kiev.
I think planes are weird. It's always planes are really important, and plus they have numbers, so you can just be 17, flight 17, and you just keep talking about it, but there's bigger moves being done. a train crashed in Central America, killed like 5,000 people, but it wasn't like Locomotive 25 all in news. I don't think they number them. I don't know.
There was no train.
Stupid.
There was no
All
train
right.
that killed 5,000 people. That never
There's no
happened.
plane that killed 5,000 people ever.
Or train.
Train. Oh no, like 1,000 people died on that train. It like derailed, and they were all, they hang off of it to get into the country and shit.
Oh, really?
But I mean, yeah, that was like last month sometime. But Daily Mail, Russia cuts off gas supply to EU today. Look it up. All right. Well, I got to go because I'm at work. Goodbye.
All right. Thanks for the call there. Good luck at work. 708-244-8142 if you want to call in on this or any other topic. So, of course, the whole range of theories is going around the internet on this plane, and it is an interesting story, and it definitely is going to kind of it's going to set the tone for a lot of what's going to happen in Eastern Europe now. And as we know, this is a situation that's been boiling closer and closer to the top. And I noticed flipping through some of the talk radio in Chicago that a lot of, on both sides, Republican or Democrat, the talking point was, this will force Obama's hand. This will mean that Obama has to get involved in Ukraine. And, and that's a good point, that our last caller just made about the media, and, how they like to focus on one thing, and it does have to do with an agenda. And, yeah, so the fact that the media has been obsessed with the Ukraine situation and the protests and violence in Crimea and all of this for months and months probably means that they're trying to keep you focused and ready to be outraged. So that's what I would say is going on with that. But many, of course, have claimed that the Illuminati, or whoever you might call them, carried out the attack as part of its long-standing master plan to trigger a third world war and thus establish a new world order. And as we went over, the EU, and for those of you who might not be familiar, the theory, the New World Order, refers to a behind-the-scenes group who might want to eventually create one world government and, and kind of erase all national borders and stuff. And that might seem like a kind of a cool, peaceful thing, and you may have heard of the term globalism, and it might sound good, but what national borders actually are checks and balances against tyranny from spreading, the same as our system of having states and counties was meant to be on a smaller scale in this country. You don't want one world government, because the more power available to a person, the more corrupt they'll get. And imagine if somebody was president of the world. We can't fucking handle small countries. So that's the idea, that Ukraine was resisting entering the EU, and if they allow that to happen, that sends a statement, or that sends the message to the rest of the world that you can opt out of this, when they don't want you to feel like you can opt out of the one world government slowly trudging your way. So yeah, there's all kinds of these theories, but in my opinion, without a whole lot to go on, I think my overview is that it's very suspicious the way that this is being covered and the way that the media is so confident, when normally they are pretty reluctant to come out with anything concrete until they're totally sure, and I don't know how they could be if they're not telling us something. But yeah, so there you go. And the fake moral outrage for an act that we have ourselves committed as a nation who supports our own military's action in foreign worlds. I don't know. I think it's time to go to a break really quick, and I think that's about all I got to say on the Ukrainian flight. We'll talk about it next week, of course, and kind of keep up with it this week, but without having much else to go on, there you go. I hope I gave you something to think about that you hadn't heard of, unless somebody calls me in the next 20 seconds. That's what's going down. We're going to go to a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about red light tickets and sharks and ghosts and aliens. As always, I play kind of unknown local artists or, artists that I've met from around the country during the breaks until we get some kind of funding and support. That's what will be going on. So I'm going to take you out with some Gyroscope, and we'll see you in a few minutes on the Sunday Evening Overdose. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for supporting my mission.
Nobody's perfect, nigga. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, Sunday Evening Overdose. That first one was Gyroscope from Chicago. That last one was Webster X from Milwaukee, I think. Thanks again for tuning in. 708-244-8142 if you want to call in, and you can always participate on our Facebook page, Sunday Evening Overdose on Facebook, or sundayeveningoverdose@gmail.com. So, I want to talk about Red Flex. You know what that is? It's a fucking stupid company that provides traffic cameras. Most of us who aren't total subservient whores sort of just naturally object to the idea that there's these sort of overbearing presence of cameras in our lives now, and even some of them being used to ticket us when there's no law enforcement officer present. And that's kind of the game with red lights. If there's no one around, what the hell does it matter? That's a side issue. But we've got a lawsuit, I guess, that's being proposed, a class action lawsuit. And it was filed Thursday in federal court. What? Pardon me. A class action lawsuit filed Thursday in federal court claims that because Redflex, the company that provided Chicago's red light cameras, earned millions of dollars from a city contract obtained through bribery, everyone who is ticketed should get their money back. The suit claims the contract called for 20 to 25% of each $100 red light ticket go to Redflex, generating about $100 million in ill-gotten gains that unjustly enriched the company. Yeah, no shit. Chicagoan Matthew Faulkner, a banker with Credit Suisse, filed the suit. Good job, Matthew Faulkner, for figuring that shit out. It doesn't take a genius to understand that a company that runs for profit, directly being involved and profiting from tickets is just completely, it's official oppression, and it's out of fucking control. Frankly, there should be a return to the people who paid the money, Faulkner's attorney Thomas Cronin told the Chicago Sun-Times. The extra charge was uncalled for because it was negotiated by bribery. So I guess that's already been proven in court that the term was negotiated by bribery. The lawsuit's class action status needs to be approved by a federal judge still. So, I don't know. I'm pretty happy about this story. I don't have a lot of faith in our court system or, any other part of our government. But, I guess it's possible with enough influence from the right, citizens to possibly do something about at least the most ridiculous parts of what we've been putting up with recently. So I went last night to the Redflex website, and this is the company that handles all these installations, and they produce and have contracts with cities to install these red light cameras. And of course they profit, amazing amounts of money. Like this just said, what was it? $100 million, yeah, from Chicago so far. So this has, of course, been controversial the whole time. I I went to redflex.com and I found they had a really nice little video called Why We Do What We Do. And it turns out it's not for the money. And I'm going to go ahead and play that, please.
Hello, I'm Robert DeVincenzi, CEO of Redflex Holdings and CEO of Redflex Traffic Systems of North America. Redflex Traffic Systems is a public safety-focused company. We operate photo enforcement systems in over 250 cities, over 2,000.
I have to say, first of all, this guy is clearly a pedophile.
Operating systems really supporting motorist safety and pedestrian safety across the country. The data shows that our cameras help reduce red light running and speeding. Fewer red light runners and people speeding means safer roads and fewer citations.
So I like this, nice, friendly music. This is really inspiring that these guys have worked their whole lives to apparently reduce the income that their business gets. Their whole idea is to set up and then eliminate their product, apparently.
Countless misperceptions about the photo enforcement industry as principally a revenue-generating opportunity for municipalities. It is anything but that. We see declines in red light running and in speed infractions. Those declines also yield reductions in citation revenue for municipalities. The objective is to improve traffic safety in the community, not to generate revenue. No one should be surprised when the number of citations issued and revenue from police citations goes down.
Is there any company that doesn't run to make money? This guy is a lying piece of shit. Now they're just showing a random red line graph. I posted this on the Sunday Evening Overdose page just now. If you want to play along at home, they're just posting some random graph with no data or numbers, just going down.
Because
there you go. Yeah, it's going down.
In Culver City, California, red light running is down 74%.
Culver City, California. I like these stats. Down 74% in Culver City, California. I don't know. I guess that means the tickets are down 74%, which means it's probably down more like 600,000% of who was actually doing it in the middle of fucking nowhere in Culver City.
In Columbus, Ohio, red light running is down 76%. In Council Bluffs, Iowa, red light running is down
90%, down from 10 to 1. Council Bluffs, Iowa.
We're Redflex Traffic Systems. This is why we do what we do.
Ugh. And if you watch this video, you'll notice this guy clearly has horrible breath. You can just tell from looking at him. There you go, Redflex Traffic Systems. Hopefully get their ass kicked in court. I got the Tribune article gets a little bit more into it. The complaint outlines the Redflex scandal that erupted in October 2012 after the Tribune obtained a 2-year-old internal Redflex whistleblower memo by an ousted vice president. You can't fire people. See, they deserve this. You can fucking fire people that know shit like this. That detailed the alleged bribery scheme, including lavish company-paid vacations for former city transportation official John Bills. Bills, a longtime City Hall insider who's headed the city's red light camera program until 2011, was arrested in May and charged by federal prosecutors with plotting to steer the contract to Redflex before the first ticket was ever issued in 2003. So that's how government works and corporations, and they work together that way. Fuck you. Government will never protect you from corporations. It will only give them the means to get further up your ass. They will never be on your side. In return, prosecutors alleged Bills received hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash spent on a vacation home, a boat, a Mercedes convertible, along with dozens of trips and a condominium near the company's Arizona headquarters. So yeah, and without a government run amok, they wouldn't have that fucking ability to influence you and I. So that's how that works. Oh, we're getting more messages into the show. Let me see what's going on. So, yeah. Fuck you, Redflex. I hope you all fucking die. Go to hell. Somebody just sent something into the show. Oh, Israel. Yeah. Israel firing missiles into Gaza. I know that's going on. I just don't have a unique angle on it. Maybe somebody wants to call in about that.
Rocket
This is the live feed.
From Israel, slowly making its way, presumably a precision-guided missile coming into the northern part of the Gaza Strip, and it seems as though the bombardment has been very much in Beit Lahia. The sound that you are hearing
this is a live feed of some missiles and explosions.
Probably see there are lots of Israelis gathered around who are cheering when they see these kinds of Israeli strikes.
Yes, cheering death. I'm gonna throw that up on the Sunday Evening Overdose. Where are we as a species? That there are still so many places in the world, including here, that, you know, because of some kind of difference in ideology, cheer each other's death and the destruction of cities and families. What are we fucking doing? Sometimes I really just want to die. This government is so ridiculously out of control. So is every other government. When are people gonna get it? What the fuck? Should we move on to shark news? I don't know. I'd like to talk about the Israel thing, but I don't really know. I don't really know what to say. It's been going on for many years. And fuck, we all kind of know what the deal is. And now they're killing. Former Miss USA retweet accuses Israel of terrorism and murder. Yeah, this is probably true. I guess this former Miss USA is a Shiite who was born in southern Lebanon and subsequently immigrated to the USA. The retweet doesn't necessarily equal an endorsement, but she's been a vocal critic of Israel in recent days. I don't know why that was sent in, but I'm done with that. All right. Again, send shit in, and I'll just blindly pull it up and read it on the air. I want to talk about sharks. If you've been following the show, you'll know that the greatest threat to Americans in our coastal waters is sharks. And there's a lot of shark apologists out there making a lot of excuses. The blame the people crowd is in my opinion, run amok through the media and elsewhere. And it's time to get this shit under control and into perspective. So, I've been reporting on the shark attacks and the fact that there's growing numbers of great whites off the East Coast, and supposedly now they're migrating around to Florida. You know, you all just keep going in the ocean, splashing around, having your fun, and you see what happens. You call me weird, but a lot of people will remember from earlier shows also am a shark attack survivor, having narrowly escaped just a month or two ago in Florida, narrowly escaping with my life. As you'll recall, there were several attacks in the days surrounding my trip to the beach. So, the shark cull that's been going on in Australia has a get out clause. This is from the Australian News at Yahoo. Tender documents have revealed that unless all approvals, licenses, and exemptions are obtained for the policy, the government would be under no obligation to fulfill the contracts. This is talking about the government will give itself room to break contracts with fishermen carrying out its shark drumline policy amid doubts whether it will clear environmental hurdles. So basically, they're kind of backing out of this shark cull that's been going on in Australia as a result of increased attacks. And this has been a big controversy. A lot of environmentalists and pro-shark shark apologists have been really hammering this home that this whole shark slaughter is wrong. But when a shark slaughters a human, it was the person's fault. Typical media hypocrisy. State and federal environment regulators are currently assessing the government's plans under which drum lines will be deployed off Perth and Southwest beaches between November 1st and April 30th for the next 3 years. And these are drums of chum, I think. It comes after the trial of the policy, which is aimed at catching and killing great white, tiger, and bull sharks bigger than 3 meters, was held between January and April of this year. Well, how crazy that you would want to catch and kill giant, bloodthirsty monsters patrolling, where there's innocent human beings trying to splash and have fun. Yeah, that's horrible, of course, according to the environmentalists. Respondents... Holy shit, we've got a caller. Hang on a second. We're talking about sharks on the Sunday Evening Overdose. How you doing?
Hey.
Hello?
Am I on the Overdose?
Yeah, you're on the Overdose. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? Big fan. Mainly a fan of Robot Hilarious.
Who's that?
I have no idea, but I thought you might have known him.
That's me.
Is that why you put sharks on your flyer?
Yeah, well, I just want to keep people aware of the clear and present danger that does exist, and especially since I myself became a shark attack survivor, I've been more passionate about it.
Oh, okay. That's a little bit of trivia. I'm gonna remember that from now on.
Yeah, please do. So, who are we talking to here, anyways?
This is Jay from Knoxville.
And what'd you call in about?
I like sharks a lot.
I'm not sure if you've had any shark attacks in your area, but just because you don't live near an ocean doesn't mean that you're safe. You understand that, right? There are bull sharks that swim hundreds, if not thousands of miles through fresh water seeking, human flesh.
Well, I know I'm not safe because my ex-girlfriend, every time she was like having her lady period business, she called it Shark Week. So I know that no man is safe.
Yeah, well, a lot of women like to refer to their lady parts as sharks. That's pretty common in my relationships. Do you have anything else to add on the shark situation that we're all dealing with here?
Respect them and love them. Sharks are good people.
See, I knew it. There was something suspicious about this. Another shark apologist got through. We don't screen calls here at the Sunday Evening Overdose. And, why didn't you just say what you wanted to say first off?
I love Robot Hilarious.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. That's, there goes that guy. That is why we should probably have some other situation for phone calls. And we'll get that going soon. But a shark diver, okay? This is someone who fucking purposely swims in water that sharks are also in, is missing in the Bahamas. And I don't give a shit at all. Fuck this guy. This is what I'm talking about. And no one listens. People think it's fun to get up next to these things. There was a video recently of some chick in Australia that's like dancing underwater with sharks. And, this is just, you're asking for it. This is an article from Outside Online by Brooke Morton. The commercial shark dive client has been missing since Sunday, July 13th. Let's see. Identified as John E. Petty, 63 years old. Okay, he's swimming with fucking sharks. He was aboard controversial shark dive outfitter Jim Abernethy's yacht, Shearwater. And I guess this Abernethy fellow has been pretty heavily criticized in the past for not using cages and just kind of taking people on open dives with sharks, which a lot of people say is safe. It's safe until they decide to eat you, which they could just do at any time. This is ridiculous. You fucking shark people need to get it together. So this guy's missing. They found his diving gear. It's not looking good. They actually called off the search already. I think it's pretty safe to say that he was eaten by a shark. I guess he got separated from the group, and that was that. So, there shows you the mindset of a predator. Pick off the straggler, leave the diving gear, swim away, the big shark grin on your face, get the fuck out of there. That's what they do. Shark has bit a man off Masonboro Island in New Hanover County, North Carolina, where we just reported last week that there's an increase of great white sharks off the coast of North Carolina. And here you go. Already there's another attack. A shark bite sent a man to the hospital Saturday. According to Facebook, Carson Jewell was body surfing near Masonboro Island when the incident happened. He was treated at New Hanover Regional Medical Center, where he received several stitches. He was released shortly after, and I guess the video, you know what? We may have already reported on this attack, but I don't think the video was out. I think this actually happened last Sunday. I'm going to go ahead and throw the video up on the Facebook page, and it's, of course, a horrifying... Yeah. Sunday Evening Overdose on Facebook.com. You can check this out for yourself. And, yeah, fuck that. I'm not even going to watch it. Oh, wait, that was the wrong video anyways. That was a shark. This is a good video. I just posted a shark choking on a sea lion while beachgoers watch. That's what that was. Anyways, I guess there's not a video of this Masonboro guy. Pardon me. Oh, yes, there is. Sorry, I had the wrong thing. I'm going to throw this up. There is a video of this guy getting bitten. There you go. Proof for you and you shark apologists out there on the Facebook page. Sharks have ruled the oceans for at least 400 million years. Yeah, I know. This is from onemoregeneration.org. 100 times longer than the roughly 4.5 million years since the first human-like hominids evolved. So what? Yeah, exactly. You know what? That's a good fucking point about sharks, okay? 400 million years, and we're here 4.5 million, and look what we're doing. And look what you're doing. Swimming around in disgusting shit water, eating fucking live fish and their entrails and eating everything, eyeballs and shit like a fucking savage piece of shit shark that has no fucking class. No, can't make a distinction between a fucking seal and a guy on a surfboard. You idiots. Holy shit. Don't brag about how long sharks have been around. All right. Ocean whitetips often swim with pilotfish, which scavenge for leftover food, until the 1960s when intensive offshore fishing took off. Ocean whitetips could elude fishermen in remote waters. But now one study found that Gulf populations have been depleted by 99%. Good. Why? They are caught in large numbers as incidental catch in swordfish and tuna fisheries. They are also sought after for their large fins for the Asian market. And, of course, their nursery and pupping grounds are close to shore, so they're often caught incidentally in shrimp trawls. This is just some happy news about shark killing, but the U.S. and Cuba have special protections in place for the Caribbean reef shark and others, and their partners are working to enhance local benefits from tourism and find alternatives to fishing to killing these sharks. Outrageous. 2 huge great white sharks being tracked, this is on CBSLocal.com, are headed into the Gulf of Mexico. These are sharks with trackers on them, which is another thing. If you can get close to track and put it, fucking stab it, kill it, shoot it, whatever you have to do. Don't just track these sharks. They're tracking into the Gulf of Mexico off of Sarasota. That's great. 15-foot sharks right off the coast of Sarasota, as you know there are. We have an aerial video. This one is cool. I'm pulling up another video here. A startling aerial video shows paddleboarders' close encounter with a shark. So I guess these guys were recording with a remote control drone with a camera, and let's see. And they caught it from a bird's eye view. I'm going to go ahead and throw this up on our Facebook page as well for those of you playing along. And this shows the danger that you can face even moving at high speeds. And this guy almost runs into a shark, and you know what would happen if he did. Like, the shark's going to be reasonable about it? I don't think so. Oh, he runs it right over. All right, that's that. Fucking stupid-ass shark got run over. Check that out on our Facebook page for your convenience. We move on to San Francisco, where great white sharks may not be headed to the endangered species list after all. In a recent study, PLOS 1 found that the number of sharks swimming in the Pacific, roughly 2,400, about 6 times the number previously estimated. The study director says this is a rare piece of good news for shark conservationists, or as I call them, apologists. It's an outstanding sign, said George Burgess. He's a guy that comes up time and again in shark research. Sharks around the world, of course, are in deep trouble. Yeah, if I have anything to do with it, they are. All right, there's that. There's also been a resurgence of great white sharks all over other parts of the country, as we reported on the East Coast last week. Shark attacks in Florida and North Carolina. 2 men suffered lacerations from a shark bite. Carson Jewell was surfing in Masonboro. That was that guy. And who else? Mike Simmons with the Okaloosa Island Fire Department. Oh, no, he's just making the statement. He grabbed him, and with enough force that when he grabbed his foot and pulled, he felt like his leg was being pulled out of the socket. Well, that's nice. That's what a shark is capable of. A shark, let's see. This is the same fucking article. So I guess that's all we got. I mean, sharks are attacking people. Florida, North Carolina, California recently, all over the place. I don't think we've had any fatalities this week. But if you're near the water, please don't give into the temptation to go in. I did it recently, and as I said, narrowly escaped with my life. Let's move on. Somebody sent something into the show here. This is I already know about that. Shark choking to death. Yeah, you can check that out on our Facebook page too. Sharks choking to death, if you're into that. I don't know. Maybe move on to ghost news. Ooh, a new video apparently shows the moment that a ghost reveals itself in the window of Britain's most haunted pub. And again, you know the drill for playing along. I'll post this. The 19-second clip shows a strange light flickering in the first floor window of Bolton's 763-year-old Ye Old Man and Scythe. So that's the pub. That's pretty cool to live somewhere where you can have a pub that's 763 years old. The footage was taken by a tourist who, speaking in Portuguese, describes the old Churchgate boozer as one of the oldest in England, adding, and the most haunted. So, just after he refers to a famous CCTV clip, which became an internet hit after it was first published in February, something strange can be seen in the first floor window. So this is a guy giving a tour, I guess. Pub manager Tony Dooley says the clip is further proof the pub is haunted. Tony, 36, said, "I'm not too happy about it. That's my flat behind the window. My attitude before I became the manager 9 months ago was not to believe in ghosts. I'm convinced now. Only a few weeks ago he said that he was woken by what he thought was his partner's pet dog, Callie, licking his feet, only to discover the animal was fast asleep." So that's going on over there in the UK, and that's at the mirror.co.uk on our Facebook page as well. You can check out the moment a ghost reveals itself in a very old pub. Let me go ahead and play this real quick while I switch over. I guess this pub also, it dates from 1251. Imagine that. 1251 is the fourth oldest pub in Britain and is reputedly haunted by the 7th Earl of Derby, James Stanley. The royalist, whose family originally owned the inn, is said to have spent the last several hours of his life there before he was beheaded in 1651 towards the end of the Civil War. And here we got the video playing.
Este dos pubs mais antigos de Inglaterra. E dizem que também é o mais assombrado.
Yeah, some tourists there checking it out.
Yeah, eles vendem uma
And I'm going to tell you if I can vouch for this or not. Yeah, some strange apparition anomaly there, and that you can check that out. The chair he sat in before he was taken outside and executed is still in the pub today, and some say so is he. Hundreds of soldiers and civilians were also killed outside the pub in the Bolton massacre of 1644. With such a bloody history, it has long been considered a hotspot for paranormal activity, and a psychic evening held there in 2006 reportedly found it to be haunted by at least 25 spirits. Among them is said to be a woman who hung herself in the cellar several centuries ago, as well as an 8-year-old girl and a phantom dog. So that's that. There you go. Around since 1251, the most haunted pub in Europe. This is also another kind of cool ghost video. Some spooky, and this is from the same website, some CCTV footage shows a mystery ghost appear from nowhere before crawling up the wall of a haunted pub. So apparently this was discovered by landlord David Langley Evans. He checked the hallway CCTV from the night before and noticed a ghostly figure rise up out of the floor. The strange white shape materializes from nowhere and then grows into a ghostly form before rising into the ceiling. I've seen it before with my own eyes, but now I have proof and people believe in me. In the 10 years I've been at the pub, I've seen all kinds of ghostly things going on. David is hoping paranormal experts can explain the specter on the video from the Thomas Arms Hotel in Lenny, Wales. I don't even try to pronounce things. But you can check that out too. I am going to post that, and I can't resist. I'm just going to play the audio real quick and check it out in a moment here. So these things are happening all the time, you know. I try to bring you these stories to just kind of remind you that whether or not you yourself have had any experiences or have chosen to believe in this or not. And could we mute the video for a second while I let this advertisement play? Fucking commercials on everything. Okay, go ahead and bring it up. So this is from the Daily Mirror. This is just the CCTV footage, and I'll just narrate it for you and throw it up on our Facebook page. So let's see. Yeah, we've got some sort of white apparition, as this says. And fuck, we've got another caller. God damn it. Hello, I'm watching a ghost.
You're watching a ghost on Overdose?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had some comments about some ghosts.
This is definitely a ghost in this video.
So I think that, like, I actually believe in ghosts. I think that everybody, like, and this is not like promotion or anything like that. I think that everybody should get the it's called the ghost speaker on, like, if there are Android recipients out there.
What is it called?
It's called Ghost Speaker.
Ghost
and
Speaker?
It's like $2.95 on Android.
And what is this? Is this an app that supposedly will interpret some kind of unearthly ghost speaking?
It's kind of like if anybody has watched Ghost Adventures, there's a tool that they use called the Ovilus X, and what it does is that it it makes words like through the like on the Ovilus X, like it makes words through the speaker, but on the app it basically does the same thing, and it totally works. Like there's on the app there's a energy field, and it makes words. Like I've used it in cemeteries, I've used it at houses. Another thing you should research is the Arizona domes in Casa Grande.
The Arizona Hills in where?
The Arizona domes in Casa Grande.
Domes?
Casa Grande, Arizona.
Okay.
And it's nobody knows like why they're there or what they were used for, but there is some people have used it for satanic rituals. There are cat bones, like people have sacrificed cats. Like they've used it for satanic rituals.
All right, I'm gonna pull that up and check that out. The Arizona Domes in Casa Grande.
Correct. Yes.
Well, I will check that out for sure. And as far as that app goes, I don't believe that your cell phone can talk to ghosts.
See, that's the whole thing. A lot of people don't, but there are a lot of activities that like it will go silent. It will be silent, like if there's no energy around. But if it's like in a cemetery or haunted house, like why would that be a strong correlation of soul phone to ghost technology?
All right, well, I guess, you know what? I'll just have to wonder about that, I suppose. But we'll check out these the Casa Grande domes.
Yeah, please do. Please post it on your site. Like it's very creepy.
All right, I'm gonna check it out. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you very much for the call.
Thank you.
And there he goes. The Dome, Arizona, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, is a ghost town located in Yuma County in southwestern Arizona, United States. Originally Swiveler's Station, 20 miles east of Fort Yuma on the Butterfield Overland Mail Route. Post office was first put in 1858. So then there you go. It was a pretty old fucking town. Is that what? I just pulled that up randomly looking for the Arizona Domes. That's Dome, Arizona. It's a ghost town. By the way, speaking of ghost towns, I heard of a pretty cool place in Ohio called Helltown, which is apparently an abandoned town that was cleared out for some kind of construction or bridge or fucking highway or whatever that never ended up happening. And it was just kind of left out there. And pretty cool pictures online of that. The Secrets of the Domes. I bet this is a wild goose chase and this caller was just fucking with me. Let's find out. All right, so yeah, these are some domes. Let's see. When the domes... All right. Bear with me here. In July of 1982, Patricia Zeb, who owned Intercon Technology, Inc., was speaking to a group of around 75 people about her new computer manufacturing company, and her plan was to move the company headquarters to California to the newly constructed site in Casa Grande. She called the Domes. The new offices were dome-shaped with a thermoshell construction, and the main office resembling a definitive flying saucer. Zeb was very excited about the new plant and couldn't wait for that first circuit board to roll in. All right. When the domes were first built in the early 80s, there were high hopes of manufacturing not only circuit boards, but all kinds of equipment such as quartz watches to huge computers. Using the dome shape was decided because of the cost and insulation efficiency. All right, so a year after the dedication of the company, they defaulted on the loan, and the bank took over ownership. The site remained abandoned until it was bought by a couple in 2006. Through the years, ghost hunters and UFO enthusiasts would trek across county to check out the odd-shaped objects in Casa Grande they read about online. It became a place for the young to hang out and have parties and raves. The domes are a dangerous place to be, with the walls in disarray and the ceilings falling in piece by piece. There have been many bizarre stories told of ghosts and possible satanic worshiping in the dark worm-like tunnels. Some say that at night you can hear footsteps and whispering in the back dome. So there's a cool little haunted spot, I guess, in California. Thanks to the caller for that tip. I'll throw that up too. All right. So we're going to move on to some UFO and alien news, as we do here. And before I do that, I would just like to remind everyone that, this is the kind of news I feel like reporting on. Not all of these things are going to be, totally vetted and true. This is just interesting and entertaining news. So this comes from the ibtimes.co.in. A strange sighting, an unidentified flying object, was captured passing by the lunar surface on the day of the supermoon. The object was captured in a video which showed a black circle moving across the moon. It appears that the user is equipped with some powerful tools for catching the object. This is an interesting catch of the supermoon seen this week. A black circle moves silently across the moon. This guy has amazingly powerful equipment that is catching the UFO, and it doesn't look to be flying over the surface of the moon, but to be passing between the moon and the Earth, explained Scott Waring from UFO Sightings Daily. Check out an old video of an Italian astronomer who caught a similar UFO moving across the moon's surface, he says. These two videos have caught the same UFO. So maybe we can pull that up. Old video of an Italian astronomer who caught a similar UFO moving across the moon's surface back. So this has been seen before. There you go. UFO sighting on the day of the supermoon, which is always a charged, weird day. 10,000-year-old Indian cave paintings of alien spaceship puzzle archaeologists. And this is from RT again, RT.com on their news. Prehistoric paintings in a cave in India may indicate that alien travelers visited the site eons ago. An archaeologist says the paintings depict what appear as humanoids with featureless faces and a tripod object that could be a vehicle. The peculiar find was discovered in a cave system under the Chirama region in Kanker district in the Indian state of some shit. Preliminary dating says the pictures are at least 10,000 years old, reports the Times of India. So an archaeologist, J.R. Baggett, believes that the paintings, which could serve as evidence of the paleocontact hypothesis, which says that in prehistoric times, Earth was visited by members of an advanced alien civilization. The findings suggest that humans in prehistoric times may have seen or imagined beings from other planets, which still create curiosity among people and researchers. So there you go. More evidence that early people could have been contacted by some kind of aliens, and maybe not even from another planet, possibly from the hollow earth, as I've proposed. In a few pictures, they are even shown wearing spacesuits. We can't refute possibility of imagination by prehistoric men, but humans usually fancy such things, he added. He also said the paintings are done in natural colors that have hardly faded despite the years. The strangely carved figures are seen holding weapon-like objects and do not have clear features, especially the nose and mouth are missing, he says. So there you go, some creepy paintings discovered 10,000 years ago, supposedly depicting aliens. Check that out. The Guardian reports that NASA thinks alien planet could soon be discovered which holds life. This is kind of a perpetual story, and they're always coming up with, it might be true, but also NASA is constantly trying to renew public interest in itself. Scientists at NASA believe that if everything goes according to plan, an alien planet very much like Earth could soon be discovered which holds life. So with that, there has come a strong desire to find that planet, and such an undertaking has been growing each year, and it appears the interest is only getting stronger. So they think they're honing in, could happen within the next 2 decades. A NASA panel review where main attention was on the search for life in the cosmos. The deliberations focused on the questions whether Earth is alone or not in the universe, along with the high-tech advances that have been made in the last 10 years that might permit scientists to come up with an answer to such questions. So Matt Mountain is the director of the Space Telescope Science Institute, and he spoke at this panel urging people to imagine the moment when the entire globe would realize, you know, they weren't alone. And I guess he's warning against the possible backlash there. NASA seems to be very determined on discovering Earth 2.0 with the brand new James Webb Space Telescope that is planned to launch in the cosmos in the year 2018. And this is extremely possible. So I guess this is another deep space telescope. So within the next 20 years, it could happen that scientists might very well find one or more planets which are Earth-like and have life on them. Yep. A lot of fucking typos in these professional publications. Have life on them somewhere out in the universe. Kimberly Rubel, you suck, and so does your editor. There you go. The search has brought scientists this far, thanks in part to Kepler's Space Telescope. It was able to pinpoint numerous planets in its lifespan, even though it was unable to find any planets that were good enough to be considered to be just like Earth. So this telescope is apparently intended specifically to find life, and it'll be placed about 930,000 miles away from the Earth, which is around 4 times the expanse from the Earth to the Moon, because we can all clearly imagine that amount of space, and that's a good reference for you to understand. We've got another video from NBC News. Apparently, Aliens on the Moon TV show adds weird UFO twists to Apollo tales. And why do I want to know about this? I have a big news feed. We've got a bunch of contributors here. Sometimes I get articles that I don't fucking need. The heart of Aliens on the Moon is a review of a decades-old photographs from the... Oh, I guess this is not... It sounded like fiction. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up then, as long as it's not fiction. Pixels in a photograph can be funny things, as demonstrated time and time again in Aliens on the Moon, The Truth Exposed, a TV documentary airing on Sunday's 45th anniversary of the history Apollo 11 moon landing. And I don't remember the details, but there's been a lot of these where, you know, astronauts have supposedly had some pretty compelling sightings, and there's some photographs and video as well. Off the top of my head, I don't really remember, but what one person sees as an overly magnified image with distortions that merely form strange patterns, another person sees as incontrovertible proof that extraterrestrials have left giant antennas, spaceships, and industrial complexes on the moon. I've been reading about that for years. They're, you know, some of the Ancient Aliens crowd that, in my opinion, isn't too trustworthy anymore and has kind of run away with their own little fantasy, has been writing about that for years, but there is some compelling evidence, and there are some very strange angles and structures on the moon. If you aren't familiar with that shit, you can get lost for hours in the intranet doing that. NASA Administrator Charles Bolden might not rush to join the search for aliens on the moon, but that sort of quest is right up Robert Kiviott's alley. And he says there's no doubt he's a producer of the 2-hour Sci-Fi Channel show and is totally convinced these structures exist. So he was behind the Alien Autopsy TV show that made a splash in 1995, which turned out to be fake footage. And if I remember correctly, the guys that faked the footage actually said that they had real footage, but it was destroyed. So for the, in the interest of science, they recreated it to the best of their abilities. And I can't believe that. I'm not telling you that I'm ashamed of my own work on that, he said. I'm not. Well, you should be, idiot. That was one of the biggest embarrassments of all time in the UFO community. The heart of Aliens on the Moon, that's like akin with the guy that keeps saying he has Bigfoot and it's always fake. The Heart of Aliens on the Moon is a review of decades-old photographs from the Apollo missions with commentary by sources ranging from former Apollo astronauts Buzz Aldrin and Edgar Mitchell to old standbys on the UFO scene, some other people, whatever. All right. So this is, I guess, an analysis, and let's check out this video and post it to our Facebook page. Let's interesting that comes up in the mainstream media once in a while, and they focus on UFOs for a little while. I don't know what to think. So I guess that's it for alien news, and this video is not really loading, so I'll just post it. You can check it out later. I think I might... Oh, wait, there we go.
3, 2,
Let's see how they're treating this topic.
0.
It's always interesting when...
60 seconds.
I saw this illumination that was moving with respect to the stars. We were smart enough to not say, Houston, there's a light out there that's following us. So technically, it becomes an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, some old astronaut.
Were on the lunar surface. Neil switched to the medical channel and spoke directly with the chief medical officer, saying, they're here, they're parked on the side of the crater, they're watching us.
I spotted a lot of stuff that seemed to not belong on the moon.
And it has very distinct features of a satellite dish. It's got the dish itself, the crater shape. It's got a long spike that appears to come out of the middle. All sorts of stuff that looks exactly like a satellite dish on Earth looks.
There's an interesting picture on the moon that does appear to show something that could be a bridge, maybe a pipe, could be an inching worm.
I have no doubt that extraterrestrials could very well have populated or made structures on the far side of the moon.
The reaction of numerous space defense officials was fear and astonishment.
And it would make sense that governments and
military... All right, well, you get the idea.
Might well be quaking in their boots, wondering who's built these structures, where are they from, what do they want?
There's one object that reminds people of a cooling tower from a nuclear power plant.
All right.
Any species that could...
That's that. I mean, once in a while, it's strange when the mainstream media, who usually takes part in the ridicule of anyone who takes these kind of topics seriously, all of a sudden rolls out a big production, kind of legitimizing the whole thing. And, in my opinion, it's probably some effort to control the narrative and, keep it where they want it. Again, if you want to contact us, 708-244-8142 or SundayEveningOverdose@gmail.com. I'm probably going to go to a break in a second here, and I'm going to come back, talk about some of the other stranger, whatever, important in my opinion kind of news, take some more calls, and I'm going to get into probably a little music and possibly some music critique, and we're going to talk about the state of music and art in our culture. So please stay tuned. Sunday Evening Overdose. We'll take you out for about 8 minutes. I'll be right back. All right, we're back with the Sunday Evening Overdose. I forgot to say some thank yous to thank you to our last week's guest, Clinton County Paranormal Research. Check them out. They were a very good guest. We'll have last week's episode up soon, too. A lot of people asking about when we're going to be on YouTube. We're coming. Don't worry. We're trying to get it all done right. And last week's guest actually had some really impressive EVPs, some what they consider to be messages from intelligent spirits or what's the other fucking term? Residual spirits. So very interesting interview, very cool guest. Check them out. And thank you to anyone who is supporting the show and telling their friends and calling in. We've had a lot of good support. Thank you very much for doing that. And thank you to my small crew who helps me get set up as we're getting started here and nobody's making any money or doing anything. So thank you to everyone here in the beginning. Let's get on to some other shitty news. This is from Infowars.com, and shut up. They're reliable enough. I can tell when they're bullshitting. Former State Department executive calls Executive Order 12333 a legal loophole for spying on Americans. Executive Order 12333. I don't know how they're saying it, but what kind of data is the NSA collecting on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans? That's the question John Napier Tai, a former State Department section chief for Internet Freedom, calls on the government to answer his powerful op-ed published today by the Washington Post. So he calls out the NSA surveillance operations, and they're conducted under this Executive Order 12333. And he says they're a threat to American democracy, stating that this power authorizes collection of the content of communications, not just metadata, even for U.S. persons. Yeah, of course, but, this stuff has been going on forever, and it's just, they're trying to make it legitimate, I suppose. These executive orders, for those who don't know, this is basically dictator type of shit, and they were originally used for things like, hey, the curtains are all fucking shitty, we need new curtains. Whatever. They weren't used in the place of legislation. That's not how our fucking country works. But this is what we're doing. This was signed by Ronald Reagan on December 4th, 1981, and it established rough guidelines for intelligence community activities taken abroad, including the collection of signals intelligence for surveillance purposes. So there you go. They'll justify it any way they need to. Although we've previously sounded the alarm about government surveillance under EO 12333, it received increased public attention on October 2013 when a classified slide provided to the Washington Post by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden diagrammed how the NSA tapped the main communication links of Yahoo and Google data centers around the world. And I've said on the show before, I don't think I really buy Edward Snowden. You can call in about that. By the way, for anyone who just started listening, 708-244-8142 if you want to call in, 708-244-8142, and Sunday Evening Overdose at gmail.com. But Edward Snowden looks to me to be acting. What was it? His famous interview, I think with NBC or something. Let me see if I can pull that up. And I watched this a few weeks ago, and I was just kind of overcome with this instinct, like, this guy's lying, and at first, you might wonder why. If you understand the way that the behind the scenes control structure works, if we're, and like me, I tend to believe that the people that are really behind the scenes in power right now have been in power for many, many hundreds, if not thousands of years. And, when you consider the scope and the full scale of the agenda behind the scenes in most politics to sort of dehumanize and consolidate power and wealth into the hands of very few at the top, running both corporations and government at the same time in banking systems worldwide, well, it's not so hard to believe that they might get out ahead of some of these issues that they can see coming ahead of time. There is predictive programming, and there is also, predictive software to try to judge what a group or even an individual might do. And, if they can judge that they're going to have a dissenter from the inside who's going to leak some of this stuff about the NSA or something else, why not control the theater themselves, and create the narrative that they want, if it's going to happen anyways. So that's kind of my thought on Edward Snowden, and I'm just a maniac with an internet show. Whatever. Call me up, let's talk about it. But that's my instinct on the whole thing, is why wouldn't this be fucking fake, And if you're familiar enough with the way that the media is controlled, I don't know. And who's the other guy? Bradley Manning. Another whistleblower who, in my opinion, was made an example of. And people have called me nuts for this before, too. But, here, can you mute that? Let me let that ad run. This is a problem with fucking thinking of shit on the fly on your radio show, because you got to play these YouTube videos, and they all have commercials now. That you don't expect. But, this is Bradley Manning was another thing that just seemed like there was a lot that was being left out of the media. And, well, now he wants to be Chelsea Manning. I don't know where that story is at exactly, but to me, it's these people behind the scenes are capable of things you wouldn't imagine, and stories come out years later, but it's not inconceivable to me to think that he was taken in a back room somewhere and shown a picture of his family and his friends and said, hey, if you don't want all of these people to die horrifically in a mass throat-slitting event, you're going to let us cut off your dick. And that could be, honestly, that might sound nuts to you, but that's what I think. That is what I think. That is my instinct on Bradley Manning. You're going to fucking come out, you're going to say you want a sex change, and you're going to fucking get it, and we're going to make a big issue out of it, and we're going to make the taxpayers pay for it for some weird reason that's on the table. I don't know why that's on the table for prisoners, but, you know, that's my instinct on this shit. There's always a hidden aspect. And so, Edward Snowden.
My name's Ed Snowden.
Yeah.
I'm 29 years old. I work for Booz Allen Hamilton as an infrastructure analyst for NSA in Hawaii.
What are some of the positions that you held previously within the intelligence community?
I've been a systems engineer, systems administrator, senior advisor for the Central Intelligence Agency, solutions consultant, and a telecommunications implementer.
The guy's just very cool and creepy, and
you're exposed.
Kind of screams Black Ops.
Be determined by the public, not
Very
by somebody who was simply hired by the government.
Talk a little bit
And
about how
I've heard him say things that are very strange. Like he seems like a really savvy, really intelligent guy, and recently said, you know, that he thought there was still time for Obama to turn things around and be a really great president in terms of his contribution to civil liberties. I mean, the thing makes no sense. The guy is possibly a fake. Possibly. I don't know. I'm going to upload a video. Give me your thoughts on Edward Snowden. But that is my instinct. And like I said, just an internet maniac. Former State Department executive calls Executive Order 12333 a legal loophole for spying on Americans. So that was that. And involves Edward Snowden and all that shit. But there you go. That's my thoughts. A lot of people have seen the video going around of the death of a New York City man after police put him in a chokehold and held him down on the sidewalk there until, I guess, he had some kind of issue breathing and died. The death on Friday of a New York City man after an apparent chokehold on the part of police has prompted an investigation by the Staten Island District Attorney's Office and caused Mayor Bill de Blasio to postpone a vacation while he talks with community leaders. Poor Bill de Blasio. A passerby captured the interaction between Eric Garner, 43, and the police on the video, and the tape shows Garner saying at least 8 times, "I can't breathe," as police appear to push his head into the ground. Garner, an asthmatic who weighed between 350 to 400 pounds, later died. So, a lot of us, if you've been on social media, you've seen the video. It's all over the place. And yeah, it's another thing, you know, I cover these stories all the time. There's really no difference. It's just excessive force, you know, constantly. You see fucking 5 guys holding a guy down who's screaming that he can't breathe, and they're being unnecessarily brutal, you know, just like police are about 95% of the time. And it's, you know, you can pull that video up for yourself. It's really easy to find. It's everywhere. And if you don't see a peaceful guy, in fact, in the beginning of the video, he has his hands out and he's just saying, "Please don't touch me." I guess it all started because he broke up a fight and the cops thought he was part of it. A group of witnesses was gathered around saying that he had nothing to do with it. And, you know, police don't listen to witnesses on the scene. Who's got time for that shit? It's fucking got to kill black people. That's what the police do. White people too. Chinese, whoever they want to kill. Holy shit. This next article didn't print well. Fucking, it looks interesting. A girl lost her ear. All right. A girl lost her ear to a raccoon and grew a new one in her arm. Son of a bitch. I'm going to have to pull that up online because this didn't print well, and I will not be able to bring you that story at the moment, but I will find that, and let me see if I can pull that up again. In the meantime, Casey Kasem, his body has gone missing. He's been dead for more than a month, yet he's not been buried. And now we've learned his body is missing. And a lot of people think his widow, Jean, is responsible. And in fact, his own family says that she took the body from a funeral home the day before a judge ordered her to keep it there so an autopsy could be performed. Apparently, you know, something's weird about Casey Kasem that they don't want to get out. The autopsy is crucial to an ongoing criminal investigation targeting Jean. She killed him. The Santa Monica PD is looking into elder abuse allegations that Jean took Casey on a wild, week-long, multi-state car ride which caused him to develop bed sores that got infected and contributed to his death. That's a creepy way to kill somebody. Jean and Casey's children have been at war for years. As for where the body is, no one but Jean seems to know, and no one can find her either. It's interesting. Jean listed Jerusalem as her address on Casey's death certificate. Oh, wow. Crazy bitch killed this guy by driving all the fuck over the place till he was dead. That's insane. There was another story. I forget what it was. There was another guy who was just basically driven around in the back of a truck for days until his legs were like mush. Michelle Obama just declared war on this beloved restaurant, and you won't be happy about it. This is from AmericanOverlook.com. First Lady Michelle Obama is declaring war on your favorite chicken sandwich and waffle fries. The White House has officially condemned Chick-fil-A. I don't care about this. I've never eaten there. The controversial fast food franchise known for its Christian values and original chicken sandwich. Here's the problem, though, with our country. This is the chicken sandwich known for its chicken restaurant known for its Christian values. Why? It should be known for whether it has good or food or not. And you know what I mean? And if they're really doing anything fucking evil. Holy fuck. Many public schools across the U.S., including one South Carolina district, sells Chick-fil-A at lunch. The sandwiches sell far better than the school-cooked lunch items, and profits contribute to extracurricular activities for underprivileged and special needs students. So I guess they're the new law and new school lunch guidelines. The schools can no longer sell Chick-fil-A, as the typical sandwich is 90 calories over the maximum caloric intake for an entree item. So this is an increasing trend where apparently, because we're not rising up and doing anything about it, apparently as a country we have all decided that it's okay for the government to legislate health, morality, whatever else they want. That's a disappointing story. Michelle Obama, another creep. They're all fucking creeps. I want to try to find the story about the girl with the raccoon. So it's going to take me 1 second. But apparently, I can't imagine how someone has their ear bitten off by a raccoon. Let me just find this. And you can give me a call on raccoons or whatever, 244-8142 at the Sunday Evening Overdose. We are also going to get into some music talk and some kind of state of art as we know it talk and things of that nature as we go along. Probably going to make fun of some people, do some things. As soon as we find out about this girl. Sorry to keep you in suspense. Okay, here we go. A girl who lost her ear to a raccoon grows a new one on her arm. Time is at 11:15. We got a ways to go here. All right. Son of a bitch. Yeah, this is not coming up. All right, well, let's just talk about music then. I think I started the show off with a tangent about how I was at the Beck show and the entire crowd talked through the entire fucking show. This happens all over the place. It happens at my performances. It happens at every one of my friends' performances. It happens at local shows, big shows, wherever. The public at large has seemed to have lost touch with the idea that they might have a responsibility in what they consume and how they consume it, and that's in every aspect of life. The general public has kind of, departed from and it is an admittedly, kind of hard responsibility, but, if you want to preserve the quality of anything that you consume, you need to participate and take part in it and pay attention to it. So the trend to talk through shows, which seems to be so widespread, is really disturbing to me. Because it says that people expect whenever they're ready to turn around, whenever they're done babbling about whatever fucking stupid gossip they're talking about, or their friends or their job or whatever, that when they turn around, there should be something worthwhile going on. But as an artist, you can't sustain without some kind of support or attention. So it just creates this element where the only stuff that's really successful is what's force-fed and kind of forced in front of people in a way that they can't avoid, and or they're just too stupid to realize how fucking shitty it is, and that's all they know about. So this is what we're getting, and our local scenes are dying. People are giving up all over the place because they're not getting any fucking support. And this isn't complaining. This is just commenting on, people go out to shows of things they really, really enjoy and talk through the entire set, and their attention spans are fucked. Their brains don't fucking work right. They don't understand that art is a two-way street. It takes consumers and producers. You cannot just expect to turn around whenever the fuck you want and have decent fucking artwork going on. You need to respect it at the time that it's happening and consume it like a decent fucking human being. And we end up with shit like Macklemore at the top of the charts where it should not be, making videos like this piece of shit that I'm about to post on our page. Opens in some icy terrain. This is very dramatic. They're wearing wolves' fucking bodies on their bodies, tying sticks together into flags and running around for no reason through an empty forest. Oh, now it's a big pirate ship. All right. I mean, what the fuck is this supposed to be? Do you really enjoy this music? If you enjoy this music, you suck. I just want to get to where the lyrics come in. Oh, come on, I'm gonna skip this. Alright, wait, hang on. This fucking idiot. This shirtless African man running in the woods. Return to the Mac. Get on what it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Okay, there we go. Return of the Mac. What it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Let me see. 235 million views. There we go. For a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit me get up. Who do? God damn it. A little bit of humble, a little bit of cautious. Somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby's for the game. Nope, y'all can't copy. Somewhere between Rocky and Cosby, y'all can't copy. You suck, you piece of shit. 235 fucking million views. This is the state of art in this country because we don't pay fucking enough attention to what we're supporting and what the hell it's actually worth and what it's actually saying. I mean, it's a catchy video. It goes through like 75,000, or it's a catchy song, I guess, kind of. And it goes through like 75,000 different fucking sets and makes no sense at all. Makes no statement whatsoever. It's just a big piece of shit. And it's got the most views of anything I've ever seen in my entire life. So there you go. And all of the most original and coolest music is out there just dying and dying out, and we're just going to end up with more of the same. And it's the same as when we're irresponsible consumers with food, with entertainment on television, with anything. You know, it gets further consolidated into these hands who have agendas beyond the actual music to, you know, influence people who are consuming it. And when we're not supporting the independent producers of this entertainment, we're pretty much just ensuring the demise of real artwork in our culture, just further putting, you know, consolidating this money and this power to actually get this shit heard and put out there into fewer and fewer hands. So, I don't know. People call Macklemore indie, and I just saw him on a Dr. Pepper commercial not long ago talking about how indie he is. Pretty fucking cool. So there you go. There's that. I don't really have anywhere else to go. What about Nicki Minaj? Yeah. Nicki Minaj. Yeah, I mean, she's someone I could never pay attention to because her raps were literally unlistenable. Well, like, unlistenable I mean, right now they make them sound polished or something, but they're literally unlistenable to even the dumbest of music fans. Well, yeah, but they're unlistenable without delays and effects and repeating certain phrases and shit. You know, she just if you listen to her raw tracks, I bet it's fucking laughable. So yeah, Nicki Minaj, I don't know who else is fucking horrible. I don't even pay attention to these fucking idiots anymore. You know, but this is the thing, and it's your responsibility to get out and support shit that you like. And you know, you don't even necessarily have to spend money. Spread the word. Do something. Whatever. Let's take fucking, let's take the most powerful vessel we have for, you know, communication as a culture, our art. Let's take that back, at least. Because it's not looking good. It is not looking good here. Well, I don't know. I might end the show a little early tonight because I'm pretty much out of fucking shit to talk about. I've got, let's see, where are we at? 11:23. Probably not going to do the extra hour tonight. But again, if you want to contact the show, 708-244-8142. Let us know what you're thinking about. There's plenty of shit in the news, though. Weird Al is in the news. Continuing his video per day internet takeover, Weird Al presents us with some Sunday mandatory fun in his latest release, Lame Claim to Fame. See, this is right on topic, too. Why does Weird Al have a career? Why is this happening? What? I mean, who likes this, really? Paired with a neat stop-motion video, Weird Al jabs at people's celebrity obsessions, pointing out that standing behind Steven Seagal in the checkout or using the bathroom stall next to Jonah Hill doesn't make one friends. He even gets a little meta when he makes a reference to the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Wow. Is that valuable entertainment? 25 years of that fucking idiot just recreating like cheap, stupid, easy rhymes that, you know, in some parody form. That's what we support? All right. A woman posted selfies in a stolen dress in West Frankfort, Illinois, according to the AP. Police investigating the theft of clothing and jewelry from a Southern Illinois boutique, so they arrested a woman after she posted Facebook photos of herself wearing one of the stolen items. Well, okay. let's talk about that. I know a lot of my listeners are criminals, and we forget how closely our lives are tied to social media. And you might forget that thing you stole is like sitting on the coffee table, you know, during your party, and people are taking pictures, or, you know, maybe you deal drugs, and you know, there's maybe like a scale on the counter or something, and you know, you got to think about that stuff. That's a warning to all my friends from the Sunday Evening Overdose. Just be careful what you're photographing for your social media, if indeed you are a criminal. And that should be common sense, but is sadly not. A man who lost his hand to a flesh-eating bacteria feels lucky to be alive. Out in Newport, Rhode Island, firefighter, he got an infection after being pricked by a thorn. He's lost his hand to flesh-eating bacteria. 32-year-old Braden Leonard of Newport says he was biking in Ballard Park in June when he fell and a horn pricked his right hand. The 9-year veteran of the Johnson Fire Department had inflammation, fever, and fatigue, and his friends persuaded him to go to the emergency room. Doctors diagnosed the rare necrotizing fasciitis, commonly known as a flesh-eating infection. They amputated the hand to stop the infection spread. He was in the hospital for 10 days. Leonard tells WJAR-TV he's in good spirits and feels lucky to be alive. Well, that can happen to anybody at any time. Flesh-eating viruses all over the place. The moon communication of Buzz Aldrin that NASA didn't want to broadcast. And this kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier. 45 years ago, man landed on the moon. Is that right? 45, yeah. As Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin prepared to take one small step for man, Aldrin wanted to commemorate the moment in a way he found most personally meaningful, by taking communication. Aldrin, a church elder, or communion, taking communion. Aldrin, a church elder at Webster Presbyterian Church in Webster, Texas at the time, spoke to his pastor, Dean Woodruff, to find a way to symbolize the wonder and awe of the moon landing a few weeks before liftoff. He said, "We wanted to express our feeling that what man was doing in this mission transcended electronics and computers and rockets. The communion, bread, and wine, symbols of everyday life." Fuck, this thing keeps turning off. Symbols of everyday life seem to be a fitting way to commemorate the extraordinary moment. Woodruff equipped Aldrin with a piece of communion bread, a sip of wine, and a tiny silver chalice, which he brought aboard as part of the a few personal items each astronaut is allowed. Aldrin wrote about the experience a year later for Guidepost magazine. In a little while, after our scheduled meal period, Neil would give the signal to step down the ladder onto the powdery surface of the moon. Now is the moment for communion. So, yeah, this is the story about how he took communion right before they stepped out, I guess. He would like to request a few moments of silence. This is the transmission right before. He requested a few moments of silence and to contemplate a moment of the events of the past few hours, and invite each person listening, wherever and whomever he may be, to contemplate for a moment the events of the past few hours and give thanks in his own individual way. And not sure why they think that NASA wouldn't want you to know about that. Anyways, there's that. It goes on for a while. Kind of interesting. Oh, here we go. Bill Maher, who is off and on, like a really dickhead guy, and then makes some good points once in a while. Bill Maher used his closing monologue on the July 18th episode of Real Time with Bill Maher to take a jab at militarized police culture in America. See, there you go. He listed different small towns that use military-style tanks and toys in their police departments. And I think that's part of Agenda 21, if I remember right. Agenda 21? 21. He said, once you start dressing and equipping people like an occupying army, they start acting like one. Every day there's another story in the paper about cops beating innocent people. He noted that police culture isn't just borrowing equipment and machinery from the army, but also a philosophy of overwhelming force. And I would say old Bill is right about that one. He is usually a douchebag, but no, I mean, that's another trend that's becoming more and more alarming around the country. small, and at one of the towns actually he mentioned, I saw that, and one of the towns he mentioned was Justice, Illinois, right outside Chicago. Apparently owns their own tank. So if you're in that area, watch out for the police tank. This is I don't even know how they excuse in small towns. They're been gearing up for years against some perceived threat that never really seems to be explained. And I guess it could be terrorism, it could be domestic uprising, whatever. But if you think the police are working for you and have your safety in mind, then I don't know. Apparently, you haven't been paying attention to the news. A lot of these places are gearing up, and against who is the question. Why do they need these tanks? Why are they becoming more and more like the military? Don't we have a military to defend ourselves from outside threats? Well, we have the police to round up criminals and bring them to a public court for them to be tried, in the original intent of our system. And they've, over the years, been... I guess, the focus has been shifted to try to convince you that they're there to actually protect you and keep you safe, which was really never the intention and not something that they're capable of or interested in doing. So, what are the fucking tanks for? You gotta wonder. George Takei is a dickhead, too. And he's in a fucking... Yeah, he's in an article I'm not going to talk about. He's fucking annoying. Let's see. I guess there's a video of NASA's Curiosity rover zapping a rock on Mars with a laser. Check that out. Just a little word out to my crowd. Look that up. A knife-wielding man robs some Aussie teens of their Krispy Kreme donuts. Most thieves steal money, jewels, or cars, but a knife-wielding thug in Adelaide, Australia is interested in a far less valuable commodity, Krispy Kreme donuts. Since the city's first Krispy Kreme opened on July 4th, there's been a line out the door from Australians ready to trade their Vegemite for glazed donuts. I remember when Krispy Kreme first came to Chicago, and it was kind of like that. It was ridiculous. Those things were really fucking good. I don't think I would probably like them anymore, but when I was eating a lot of junk food and shit... Holy fuck, that was about as good as it got. And they used to just, for some reason, give them to you for free if you just went up there and said you had no money, which is what we just did all the time. A governor says, let me check this out. Governor says immigrant children could have measles. That claim's been disputed. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Corbett gave an interview to KDKA News Radio in Pittsburgh on Friday and reignited the suggestion that immigrant children crossing the Mexican border into the U.S. carry diseases with them. We also are concerned about their health and what they may or may not cause in health issues in the state of Pennsylvania. From my standpoint, when they're coming in, there's certainly enough military bases in Texas and Arizona that the federal government could at least house them in there temporarily to make sure before they even send them to any state. So this is another, we've been covering this over the weeks. A lot of these small towns and states are getting pretty apprehensive and even angry about being asked by the federal government to house large amounts of children who are coming across the border unattended, many of them, and I guess up to age 16, I think. And, there's a lot of reasons, from financial to, people that are actually racist or just people that are worried about, how many gangs there are on the border and maybe that some of the kids that are 14 to 16 might actually already be pretty dangerous. There's all kinds of concerns. And so this is in Pennsylvania now. They've also gotten concerned with disease that they could be bringing up. But you know what? A lot of the people who are, and these are a lot of South Americans and stuff, but these are like, people with Native American blood. Like, we give them the diseases, all right? Governor, get your shit together. Get some smallpox blankets, fucking pass them out, you'll be fine. Authorities identify some mummified remains of a woman in a Detroit suburb. A woman whose mummified remains were found in her garage in a Detroit suburb up to 5 years after her death has been identified through DNA tests. This happens more than you would think. This is like the third one of these I've reported on the Sunday Evening Overdose. People just fucking die and nobody cares. Don't ever, nobody looks in their house or anything. It's like 5 years later, some kids want to spray paint. They got a mummy. A neighbor cut her grass, and her mail was sent to a nearby post office while her body sat for years in the back seat of a vehicle in her Pontiac, Michigan garage. Robert Gerds, administrator for the Oakland County Medical Examiner's Office, said Fahrenkopf's family was notified Tuesday of the positive identification and her body had been released. He said that her mail went to a post office, a neighbor cut her lawn, and she had... Yeah, these articles are ridiculous. I already said that. Fucking stupid writers. I guess a robber... All right, this is another thing. To my fans who are criminals, a robber hit the same bank twice. 24-year-old man who a month after being released from prison for a bank robbery held up the same bank and the same teller, and he's now been sentenced to more than 10 years behind bars. That's from the AP in Washington. Let's try to spread our crimes out a little bit, people. When we're gonna fucking rob places or we need the money, I understand. Let's try to be logical about it. I mean, it's embarrassing to criminals everywhere for you to act this way. So here's another story about a mummified person. A mannequin, which was dumped at a Florida landfill, was actually a mummified man. Two men hired to clean out a Florida rental house thought they found a mannequin hanging in the garage. So they cut down what they believed to be a Halloween-style prank and took it to a landfill. After interviewing the workers, detectives decided they were telling the truth and not lying to cover up foul play. Authorities believe the dead man, Jeremy Whitfoth, who was 33, had hanged himself within the past several weeks. I'm telling you, man, this happens all the time. Wisconsin moms may be charged after joyrides by their sons who were 4 and 9. Those are some badass kids. By Brendan O'Brien in Milwaukee on Reuters. He says that 2 Wisconsin mothers could be charged with child neglect after their sons, ages 9 and 4, stole 2 cars from a town northwest of Milwaukee in the last month and went on joyrides. Police said on Sunday morning, the older boy took his stepfather's car in West Bend, Wisconsin, and the younger boy in the passenger seat. The Washington County Sheriff said that the drive ended after 7 miles, and they crashed into a ditch in the town of Farmington. So there you go. There's that. Some badass kids, and I guess they're going to try to charge the moms, which is another disturbing trend that keeps increasing. I mean, fucking kids are going to steal cars once in a while. Is it really that big of a deal? Crash a car into a ditch when you're 9? That's pretty hilarious. And, if you don't hurt anyone, whatever. Yeah, maybe the parents should pay a little more attention. But fuck, if you really want to and you're a kid, you can steal keys and get a car. You might just be a real shitty kid who's out of control. Who knows? So let's see where we're going from here. Police have arrested a man in Corbin, Kentucky. Say they got a surprise delivery. 5 pizzas showed up at the police station, and I guess they had recently charged the man with shoplifting and then rearrested him for ordering 5 pizzas to the police station, which is a weird fucking thing to do to cops. Like, why would you think that would hurt the police? They're just, because cops are such assholes, they're going to tell the delivery guy, we didn't fucking order any pizza. But if you want to leave it here, that's cool. And, that's evidence of a crime. We're going to need to inspect that. Leave it right there. 708-244-8142 to call the Sunday Evening Overdose. And you don't have much time left. I think it's time to close the show out with a little bit that I like to do from time to time, where we take a look at what's going on the NBC News YouTube page. So, NBC has been around for a long time, as we know, as many major networks have, and they had the opportunity. They had the opportunity to move with the times. They had all the fucking money you could imagine. They had everything that you could possibly need to stay, a staple in media and stay convincing as some sort of investigative source. But, you go to these big news stations' websites, and it's just a bunch of bullshit. And the real news is all being done by regular citizens working hard and putting shit out that you might have to look a little bit harder for, but whatever. And we've seen how the alternative media has developed and how this shit is basically worthless. So let's check out, if you pull up the NBC YouTube page, the main video is Running Wild with Bear Grylls.
The harshest conditions, but this time he's bringing company.
Go ahead, bring that back up.
July 28th, Zac Efron.
I know it sounds like a commercial because it is.
And leaving
the first video.
I feel completely free. This is it. Live right now.
Could be the best thing that ever happened to him.
Yes. This might be the appropriate time to tell you.
Okay. There's the first video on NBC News, who has responsibility to the public, because I do believe they've, in the past, taken taxpayer money and have been funded to keep going. Media bailouts. Check it out. Look it up. All right, so, this major facility that could bring you any kind of news that they want. Here you've got some videos of Bear Grylls running around shirtless with Zac Efron. There you go, NBC News. Thanks for that. You've got some videos from The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon. I guess he's on NBC, so that makes sense. I guess all this shit is on NBC. However, fuck you, NBC. Give me some real fucking news. You're a piece of shit. Last Comic Standing. Let's just play this. Here's what kind of shit you can get on NBC. Let's see. This guy is called Ailington Mitra. I've never seen this. I'm taking a risk here.
Old material. I hope that's okay. Some old material. Yeah. How come we can't find Osama bin Laden?
It's funny because they found him. Oh, he doesn't even have a punchline. Piece of shit.
I like reality TV. I think we just need to stop calling it reality, because it's fantasy, right? Like, there was a season of The Bachelor where at the very end he rode off with his fiancée into the sunset on an elephant. In the history of reality, that has happened 0 times. And more couples have been trampled by elephants. If they had a show called The Bachelor.
Okay, that's the comedy section there on NBC. This again, goes back to what I was saying about why it's so important to watch what you support, because, when you don't pay attention to what you support as a consumer, the quality just diminishes. They will take it as low as you will put up with. Here's another guy, Monroe Martin. Let's see this. NBC, who could show millions of people anything they wanted.
The girl that I used to date stunk. She was awful. Terrible. She didn't care about me. And I found this out the hard way. Because one day we were waiting for the train, and as we were waiting for the train, a rat ran in front of us. And what she did was she jumped back and then pushed me forward. Only women think that is funny. Guys don't. Guys don't think it's funny at all. It's not funny. She didn't think about me. If I got bit by that rat, I'll have to move to the sewers, find some turtles, teach them karate so they can go save New York City. I shouldn't be forced to be Master Splinter for the rest of my life. I don't know karate, and turtles are a huge responsibility. She didn't care, man.
Boo.
Man.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck. All right, whatever. Have I made my point? This is what you get from NBC. I don't know why I picked NBC. It's just random. It's just one of the big ones. And, you know, started as a news organization many years ago, and here we are. So, to recap, the fucking plane was probably shot down by the CIA. Redflex is getting sued, and everybody's going to get their money back on those red light traffic tickets. Probably not, actually, but that's going to go on.
Grylls has survived in the harshest conditions, but this time he's bringing company.
Pull that ripcord!
Black. Ugh. All right. NBC sucks. Thank you to the callers and the crew and all the music that I've played this evening and everything. And, you know, I don't really have to end the show at any certain time. I do whatever the fuck I want. I've been going till 1, but fuck, I just ran out of shit tonight. I'm going to get out of here. So, again, this will be Gyroscope. Thanks for tuning in to the Sunday Evening Overdose. And I will see you next week at 9 p.m. Central, as always. And we will have more ghosty or alien guests next week. Now go fucking entertain yourself.
I'm on the edge of darkness, my head is starting to part with my body. Growing legs out my neck till it finally crawl off of its stop. I be tripping without deposit, repocket, then organize. I pick it up and screw it back on, minus the droopy eyes. Thanks, I appreciate it. I hate it when things be taking me to this other place in me. Why can't I be complacent? Please, too sick to socialize, cripple every pedestal, mobilizing with lunatics, 666 on a shovel.